Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Sammy here at Sammy J Stitches, and this is a special, unique video collaboration that I am doing today. I am involved in the Flosstube collaboration round 3, Focus on Fabrics, hosted by Cheryl McKinney over at Tranquil Stitches. And there are, I believe, 11 of us that are all going to focus on a specific brand or dyer when it comes to our favorite fabrics that we use to stitch on. Okay, so today I have chosen to speak to you about Leslie at Under the Sea Fabrics. If you've watched my channel before, thank you for returning. You know that probably up until recently, a good 90% of my fabrics were under the sea fabrics. I'm starting to branch out a little bit, but it is definitely my favorite, and one that I will continue to purchase no matter what other fabrics I find that I like. If you're new here, you don't know that, but I do buy a lot of Leslie fabrics. She was the first fabric of the month I was able to find to become included in about 3 years ago. And I had to take a hiatus for a little while. I've been actively with her for almost 2 years for her fabric of the month. And then she also puts on a retreat once a year. And when I go there, I purchase fabric. Plus, she lives close, so there have been times when I've met up with her in San Antonio and gotten fabrics that way too. Plus the old-fashioned way of ordering from her website so that they come in. I have personally found her shipping to be very quick, even in times when she's crazy busy like right now. But before I get into showing you all the amazing colors and fabrics that that I have purchased from her, I would like to insert a little clip where I got to speak to her and she gets to speak to you. So I will insert that here and be back in just a few minutes. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Sammy here at Sammy J Stitches, and I am doing the focus on fabrics. And with me tonight is Leslie from Under the Sea Fabrics. So we are going to talk to you and find out a few things about the history of Under the Sea Fabrics and what they offer. So first question is, how'd you get your name?
That's a pretty good question. Actually, my husband kind of named it. Back in the days before we had, well, not before Flosstube, but before it was popular, when everybody had stitching blogs. I had a stitching blog, I still do, I just haven't updated it in a couple of years, that it was Stitching Under the Sea. And so when I was trying to decide what to name the business, my husband said, well, your blog is Stitching Under the Sea, so why don't you just call it Under the Sea Fabrics? And it stuck.
Well, that works. Well, and you'd like to do a lot of under the sea type stitching too, so.
Yeah, I like stitching mermaids and nautical stuff. And that, I grew up near the beach, so I grew up on the East Coast, really close to the water. So I like being near the beach, but I wasn't really into mermaids until I stitched one, and it had a lot of fun colors and a lot of metallic threads and a lot of beads. And it turns out that's all the things I like to stitch with. So I just kept stitching them, and then it became a thing.
Okay. So how did you get started dyeing fabric?
So there was another company that I ordered fabric for Nora Corbett's Tulip, and I ordered, and I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and then one day I just went to my local shop and bought a fat quarter of fabric, and I went to Joann's and bought 2 packets of the Dye-Alon dye and dyed it myself, and I had it dyed and on the wall before I got that fabric from that other dyer. I think I got it maybe 6 months after I ordered it. And when I started posting pictures of my finish, people wanted the fabric, so it just grew from there. I took a couple of classes on how to use the Procyon dyes, which are like an industrial grade cold water reactive dyes, and then I was off to the races.
We're having a storm over here. You might see some lightning and some
I know,
thunder.
I'm jealous. I'm so jealous. It's so dry here.
Yeah,
We've had
the first time in a while I was thinking
we've seen some on some parts of the city, but my side hasn't gotten anything. I just keep waiting.
and the funny thing is we're only like 4 hours apart. So
You have all my weather.
Yeah. I'll try and send it your way, like
But,
that direction.
but the other side of San Antonio got rain last night, and we could see it. Like, if you looked into the distance, you could see it, but it never made it to our side of the city. We even saw a rainbow yesterday afternoon. I'm like, oh, it's a rainbow. Maybe we'll get rain. No.
That happened to us last week. We had a double rainbow right in front of my house, like big. No rain.
No rain.
Okay.
And we need it. It's so dry.
So what type of fabrics do you offer? Like what brands and what counts?
Okay, so I carry everything from 14 to 55 count. 14 count Aida, 16 count Aida, 18 count Aida. I can also order 20 count Aida and 22 count Hardanger, but I don't get a lot of people asking for it, so it's not something I keep regularly. That's a special request. In Lugana, I carry 25 count in opal and regular, 28 count in opal, regular, and gold opal. And then in 32, I carry regular and opal. In linen, I carry 25 through 55 count, and the opalescent is available in 28, 32, 36, and 40. And and then I have Joblin as well. The first half of what I just talked about, everything through the linen is all Zweigart linens, and they're all made in Germany. And then the Joblin is made here in the US, and it's sold through Witchell. So it's a little softer than Lugana, but it's still an even weave.
Right. Yeah, I get the 32 count Joblin. I love it. But I
don't like it at all.
I do see where some people don't like it though, because like when I'm trying to put it in a Q-snap, sometimes it's hard to get it straight because it's softer than
right.
So.
And it's stretchier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's more elastic. I'm strictly a linen stitcher. I've stitched on Lugana or Joblin. The only time I do it is when the color of the fabric matches what I want, not because I like stitching on that fabric. I just like linen, so that's why I stick with.
See, and I'm the opposite. I like even weave unless I can't get the color I want, then I ask you for linen. Although, and I've tried your linen versus other linens, and you said yours is Zweigart based. So I do find that I have a better time with your linen than other linens. So there's that.
A lot of dyers now use Zweigart, and I'm wondering if it's just their dyeing process maybe as well. Because I try to use the least amount of chemicals when I dye as I can. So if I can get the color without adding extra chemicals, I will, because the more chemicals you add, the more you have to wash out. And the more you have to wash out, the harsher it is on the fabric. So you get stuff like pilling, and some of the fabrics, like it weakens the threads. So I just prefer to use the least amount of chemicals that I can when I dye.
Sounds good. So you do offer a fabric of the month. How does your fabric of the month work?
So probably about once a year, I open it up for new membership. I just closed that window a couple of weeks ago. But what I do is you can go in through my website and join, and it'll allow you to pick the count, type, and size of fabric that you want. And the first month you pay full price, because I'm trying to avoid people who are just in it to join and get like the discounted fabric and then leave. But and I ask people to stay in for at least 3 months when they first join. After that, it is discounted, and you get whatever color I pick every month. I come up with a new color every month. I'm always open to suggestions. So if you're on my Facebook group and you have an idea, send me an idea. And if I can make it work, I will. But every month around the first, second of the month, I'll send out invoices. And then my goal is to ship the last week of the month. And if I'm late, which happens probably every couple of months, I post about it. I try to be very like open about where I am in the process so people kind of have an idea what to expect. And I don't invoice for the next month unless I've already shipped out the month before. So I just come up with a new color every month. I still haven't decided what September's going to be. I'm gonna have to figure that out in the next couple of days. So, but
And then
this month, hold on. Sorry, I have this month's color. So this is this month's color.
Awesome.
It's called Hera.
I'm always so excited to get my fabric of the month. And I know, because I've been with you for 2 years, I think. If that month, like you put up the pictures on your Facebook page and you're like, here's how it dyed. And if I like the way the linen looks better, even though I usually get Joblin, I could say, hey, Leslie, can I get the linen? And as long as you have an invoice, you usually switch it, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Also, I know some people like this month is a blue and purple, and some people don't like purple or don't like blue, or it just doesn't appeal to them. And as long as I know near the beginning of the month that they want to switch to a different color, I don't mind doing that. So I'm pretty easy to work with as far as that goes, because I mean it doesn't hurt me to change it up for you. So
Right.
I don't, I order the fabric at the beginning of the month. So, and then I wait for it to get here and then I start cutting it. So it doesn't hurt me to say, oh, if you want something else, let me go ahead. I'll just cut a different piece for you, you know?
And then you sometimes choose, so at the end of the year, you choose from your fabric of the month some that go on your main line.
Right. So the way I've done that this last couple of years, it used to be I just kind of picked them because of the ones that I like the best. And I have to remember snakes and sparklers, what I like best might not be what everybody likes best. And that, I want to offer what I think will sell the best. So the last couple of years, what I do is the last 2 weeks in December, I will take all of that year's fabric in the month and put them up on the website as a limited edition. Anybody can buy them. So even if you want one of the colors, but you're not in fabric of the month, you can still, if you're willing to wait till the end of the year, you can still purchase it. It won't be at a discount, but you can still purchase it. And then whichever one sells the best in that 2 weeks, are the top 3 are usually what get added to the line. And then usually if my favorite of the bunch is not in that, then the top 3 and then my favorite one gets added in. So
okay. And you usually run how many sales per year?
Usually I do 3. This year it might end up being 2, but usually I do 3. I always have a 4th of July sale, and I always have a Black Friday sale. My business anniversary is in September, and I usually run a sale for that. I don't know if I am this year just because I'm so far behind. I'm still working on the July 4th sale, and I don't want to put everything so much farther behind. So there's always one on Black Friday and there's always one on the 4th of July. Those are the only 2 really reliable ones. So it'll be June 25th to July 5th, and then whatever the full weekend of Black Friday is.
Okay. And is it always the same percentage, or do you just kind of decide in the moment?
Usually I decide in the moment. It just depends on, it's what I decide in the moment. Usually it's 15%, sometimes it's 10. And honestly, if I run the sale for longer, so if I run it for 2 or 3 weeks, it's more likely to be a lower percentage off just because it's so much longer.
Right.
Whereas, for Black Friday, it'll either be 15 or 20% off because it's only 3 days that you can order it.
Gotcha. And in that, you kind of mentioned that you're running a little behind on July 4th, but what's your typical turnaround times?
3 to 4 weeks. Right now I'm running 4 to 5 weeks just because I walked out. I did StitchCon this year for the first I did a trunk show for StitchCon, and they just wiped me out of fabric. I took close to 200 yards, and I came home with maybe 10.
Nice.
So it's been, yeah. So it's been a catch up just because, I died so much for that, and now I'm still trying to get caught up. I'm still trying to cut and serge and still also do fabric in the month and try to keep everything in time. So I'm doing my best. It's just me. I don't have employees, so you know.
Yeah. And
It's it's as much as I can get done in a day.
Yeah. And I know during slower times when you're not like right after a sale or something like that, I have gotten fabric a little faster than that even. Maybe you had it in stock.
Right. Yeah, if I'm not, so I know that in October I don't plan to have a fabric of the month.
Mhm.
So probably any orders that are done in October will likely be shipped pretty quickly just because I won't have as much like on my plate.
Mhm.
Sometimes it honestly comes down to whether or not fabric is back ordered. So all of the fabric houses in Europe shut down the entire month of August. They just all take vacation and they just shut the factories down. So the last 3 or 4 months of the year, stuff starts to get back ordered until they start playing catch up. So I'm as behind as they are. So there have been times, I know at the end of last year I ran out of Jobelin for 4 months. It took me 4 months to get Jobelin in. And then I had one year where I ran out of Belfast for 2 months, and that one's hard because that's what most people order is 32 count linen. So sometimes that happens, and there's just not, all I can do is wait. So,
Right.
and when something's back ordered, I'm pretty open about it. I'm like, this is back ordered right now, so expect a longer wait time.
Right. Okay. And do you have any more retreats this year? I know you've been to several, but do you have any more where you're selling?
Yes, I have 2 more this year. I have one in October, which is why there's not going to be a fabric of the month. I'll be at the Snug Harbor Crafts Retreat in Ogden, Utah. And then the weekend of November 1st, I'll be at the North Texas Get Together up in Dallas. So those are the 2 I have left this year. I try to book one every other month during the year. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. I don't like, if I did one every month, I wouldn't be able to do fabric of the month, and I would just always be behind. So I try to do one maybe every other month, every 3 months.
Plus, you host your own in May now, starting next year.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been doing that one. Next year will be our 9th year. So we've been doing it 9 years. And it's a lot. That one's a lot. That one's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. So, and I'm surprised every year despite that, I still manage to do fabric in the month of May. And then I'm always just like exhausted. I'm like, all right, sorry guys, it's gonna be about a week late. But so I think next year I have one in North Dallas, but I'm not sure when it is. I have that one in May. That's my retreat. There's a Facebook group called Mirabilia Minions Retreat and that's how you can get information on that, although we're changing the name. I'm planning to go to StitchCon. I've been invited to the Cross Stitch Club retreat in Utah. And I think that's all I have on my calendar for next year so far.
So far.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got invited to the Snug Harbor retreat last month at StitchCon, so I never know, you know, if somebody invites me and they'll let me show up with fabric, I'll come.
Right? It's good business. And
Mhm.
I happen to know, because I have bought your fabric from an LNS before, that you do provide to a few LNSs. Do you know how many or which ones?
I sell to Stitches from the Heart here in San Antonio, Katrina's Cross Threads, and that's in Tennessee. Fire Poppies in Charleston, South Carolina. Black Cat Stitchery just ordered from me, so they'll have some. Inspired Needle just ordered from me, so they'll have some soon. The Crafty You in Ohio also just ordered. Keepsakes in Cincinnati has it. The Tinsmith's Wife in Texas. The Stitch Niche in North Texas. Any shop that contacts me, I'll send them fabric if they ask about it. So I have quite a few kind of spread out all over the country. I don't attend the Nashville market because I keep myself pretty busy without doing that.
Right.
But but I'm willing to do wholesale accounts with any shop that contacts me.
Awesome. So before I get to that, do you have a favorite color in your line?
It changes. Some colors, I have colors that I like because they dye consistently well. One of those is Bridget. This is Bridget. Bridget always dyes well, so I like dyeing it. In fact, this is one of the few pieces I kept for myself. So I love to do Bridget. I like doing Properly Primitive. That's this one. This is one of my primitive fabrics. I love dyeing that one, especially on linen. It dyes really pretty on linen. I love Hecate. I wish more people ordered Hecate because it is my favorite one, I think, to dye. It's really pretty on linen.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the ones I like to stitch on, I tend to stitch on really, considering I like to dye really bright and heavily modeled stuff, I like stitching on really plain fabric. So I love Anya. That's my favorite, like my favorite fabric right now. I think I have 4 projects going on it right now. I like Looking Glass. Looking Glass is probably my favorite. I've stitched probably 8 or 9 projects on Looking Glass because it's this pink. Do I have a piece next to me? I do. Okay, so it's like a lavender and gray, or it can kind of go really gray. Mm-hmm. But every color looks good on it except for that one bluish gray color. So I like stitching on it because everything looks really good against it. So I think I've stitched 2 or 3 samplers on it because samplers just seem to look really nice against it.
Right. And on that Hecate, it's one of those that dyes really different between the linen and the Jobelan, because I have both. And it's so vibrant on the linen. Sometimes it's hard to find something to stitch on it, even though it's gorgeous.
It's 10 o'clock.
I know. That piece I have there is, I've saved 2 pieces for me. One is in Opal Cashel, and one is that piece of Belfast. I have no idea what I'm gonna put on them. I just really like them. The Jobelan is really, that's when even though it dyes so different, both fabrics are still really pretty.
Which is why I had to have both. I have one of each kind. Okay, and lastly, I know you sell other things. What other things do you sell?
I have so much stuff. I do sell charts. Now I've started carrying the Bella Filipino charts. So this is his new one. He's got a new one he just released tonight, so I haven't got that one in yet. I sell mirabilias. I sell a lot of those, but I can order a lot of stuff. I also have beads. You can see my bead racks behind me. Beads, threads. I have a lot of accessories. So I carry scissors, needles. I sell bulk needles. So these are one of the things. I don't have them on my website yet. I should put them on the website, but for $7.50 you get 25 needles. And then if you buy 100, you can get 100 for 25. Excuse me. And I carry bow-ends. I have 24, 26, and size 28 bow-ends, and then John James Petites. I have 24, 25, or 24, 26, and 28. And then I have John James regulars in 28 and 26. So, and you can mix and match, and 100 for 25. What else? Scissors. I have a lot of the lady dot trims in stock. I need to take the pictures and put them on my website. I hate with the passion entering all that stuff on my website. So that's why my website doesn't have a lot, because it takes me forever, it feels like, to update anything and put anything up there. So like that's I hate doing it. But every so often I'll get a bug in my hair and I'm like, I've got 2 days, let me sit there and just update, and I'll add a lot of stuff to it. What else do I have?
But also you have your Under the Sea Fabrics Facebook page where anything can be requested.
Yes, anything can be requested from the Facebook page, and anything can be requested. So when I do sales, so when I do pre-orders for like the new, like the Halloween magazines, or I just got the new Ginger, the designer Gingers for this year, and the first place I put them is in my Facebook group. And really that's the best line of communication for me, is through the Facebook group, because it's easy to message me from there, but it's easy to also, like, I can update everybody. I can update 3,000 people with one post instead of having to individually email people. Also, I like when people post like what they're working on my fabrics. So there are days I will just sit there and scroll through my Facebook group, and I'll get on Instagram and do the same thing and just type in Under the Sea Fabrics, just because I want to see what people are working on. What are their whips? What they finish?
Right.
Like, and I feel like I have a terrible eye for picking the right fabric for the right pattern. So I'm always inspired by what other people do. Other people have a better eye for that kind of thing than me. That's why I always use the same 3 colors over and over again.
And you have a really good eye for your fabric, because there have been times I haven't tagged you and you're like, oh, I know that one. I absolutely love that one.
Yeah, because I try to. It does happen that I had a friend that did a like stash sale a few days ago, and I'm looking through the post and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna buy that piece of fabric from her. And then I click on it and I'm like, oh, I dyed that piece of fabric. That's so I mean,
I can do that.
I shouldn't buy. I'm like, I don't need to buy it. I could dye it myself, but
Right. Well, I appreciate you answering some questions for us. I will have your Facebook and hashtag linked below. And
okay.
That's it. Thank you so much for joining me.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Okay. I know that video was a little glitchy. We did have some service issues due to the weather that I was having. Everything was able to come across clear. It's just a little glitchy in some places, and I apologize for that. But I didn't want y'all to miss out on the opportunity to hear it straight from Leslie herself. And I was excited she got to show us a few of her favorite fabrics and tell us just a lot more about fabrics in general. She's real laid back, easy to talk to, and I enjoy anytime I get to speak with her. So I currently have I have lots of projects on her fabrics, but I pulled a few that I already had readily available to show you, and then some from my stash, because one of the big things we talked about in that clip was the fact that fabrics dye differently depending on what type of fabric they are. And the one I mentioned in the video was Hecate, which was a fabric of the month. Leslie is very well known for her bright colors and things like that, and Hecate was no exception. So it was one time when I decided I needed it on linen because the linen dyed more mottled and more vibrant than anything else. And then actually Jessie Marie gave me a piece of it too. I need stuff to put behind stuff. Let me see. So that maybe you can see the amazing color, and I mean all the modeling. It's definitely vibrant and beautiful. And that is the 32 count linen. But I also have right over here the 32 count Jobelin. And if that isn't an amazing difference, I don't know what is. And so you almost need both. I definitely had a need for both. I'm gonna put these next to each other so that you can see. Actually, I can do this way. The differences in color. I'm trying not to cover my mouth so you can still hear me. But this is the linen versus the Jobelin. So they're both amazing in their own right, but yet completely different. So it is one thing to keep in mind. Okay, so a couple others that I have here is this one was called Pele's Fire. It's a very beautiful, and it comes out, it looks pretty accurate actually. You see the modeling a little better on the camera than in real life. It's a little more subtle, but not much. So that's a very vibrant color. We've got, this is 32 count Lugana and Iris. So this one has quite a bit of modeling in it. So you can kind of, I mean, I order, what, a fat half, I think I can never remember. Yeah, each time. And sometimes I can get 3 or 4 projects out of one, and you're getting something a little different with each quarter. So that's a lot of fun too. She does really well with greens and blues. This is Freya. This was a fabric of the month. I don't remember when. I need to start writing which fabric of the month I'm getting them. Especially when it comes to voting at the end of the year, deciding which ones I like best. I know that I'm going to say it wrong. Leslie has told me a dozen times how to say it correct. But Galeen was one she had last year that I went and voted for because I loved it. I believe she mentioned this one. This is Bridget. So it's a nice subtle pinks and purples with some modeling in there. The modeling shows up way better on camera. It's kind of neat. This one I bought specifically because of the way that it's modeled, not necessarily the color. And the modeling only showed up on linen, so this is 32 or 28 count linen in Moonlit Waters, but I liked the way the modeling came from a corner, almost like a spotlight. I thought this would be really good for Halloween pieces. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And then I also have okay, now I'm going to be showing you a few projects that have it on. I have a bunch of finishes, but I had to come to work tonight, so what I brought with me was a little limited. So this is NYX. It's a dark gray modeling. Probably a little green in there, but that's hard to see. Let me put another fabric behind it. And this I'm stitching Solemnly Swear on. The I Solemnly Swear I'm up to no good. Let me see if I can bring that a little closer. So, I love it. And it was one I originally bought in Jobelin, but the Jobelin wasn't going to work with my pattern as much as the linen was. So, that helps me decide. This is one of my absolute favorites. I definitely need to order some more. Let's just put it that way. This is Avalon, and it has your purples, your greens, your blues, all nice and subtly variegated, so it almost looks like, you know, the way you would picture the Northern Lights, or it works very well for these cutesy things like the Satsuma Street. I could picture like a Disney castle on this fabric. It's just, okay, so I have Pretty Little Paris and Pretty Little London on it because I just thought they should be on the same fabric. But I love the way this subtly goes from one color to another color, and it's just gorgeous. And then another piece, this again was a fabric of the month. And this is one of the ones I have in opal. I don't know if the opal will show. Oh, you can see it. Okay. The little bit of sparkle in there. You can't tell that it's sparkle, but you can tell it's something. This is Gaia, 28 count Luganan opal. And I'm stitching Lizzie Kate's Mean Mother on it. So that was just a few of the ones I have. Some of them, I believe these are all available right now. I should have checked that before I got in here. I apologize. But I know at least 90% of them are available because most of them I bought at her retreat this year. Some of them were fabric of the months. So I would say at least most of them are available. Okay, so I've rambled on enough. I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to go check in with our other collaborators that we have. All right, we have Kathy, Crafty Cat Stitcher, Garrett Coffee Stitcher, Helen D, Jan Hicks Creates, Jen Lee and Cindy over at Quirks and Stitches, Jessie Marie Does Stuff, Carrie and Stitches, Laura and Joe over at the Slovak Farm, Michelle Bendy Stitchy, and of course our ringleader of them all, Cheryl at Tranquil Stitches. So I will have them all linked below. I hope you see each one of them. I'm anxious to go see what else there were because I don't know what everybody else picked. I only know what I picked. So I'm anxious to watch those, and I hope you have a great stitching day.